She retired from the Navy, and now she's finding that the skills she learned in the military make owning a franchise smooth sailing. And New York top chef Marcus Samuelson shares his recipes for business success. He'll have some advice on how to get your small biz cooking. That's all coming up next on Your Business.
Small businesses are revitalizing the economy, and American Express Open is here to help. That's why we are proud to present Your Business on MSNBC.
And welcome to Your Business, where we give you tips and advice to help your business grow. America's veterans don't have it easy. The military is great at training civilians to become warriors, but when their service is over, many vets have trouble returning to civilian life. As we approach Memorial Day, we meet two vets from Virginia who've discovered how to retool some of their military skills and become successful franchise owners.
Grew up so much in the Navy, and I think it's just only helped me now. None of my friends at 26 own their own business. Nobody.
Amanda Crow thrived in the structured culture of military life.
It's not for everyone. And I didn't think it was for me initially, but it really taught me so much.
Until last year, Amanda had spent her entire career in the Navy, where she was told where to go, what to do, and when to do it. She loved her job as a special ops parachute rigger, but she also had an entrepreneurial streak in her.
I didn't want to work for anybody else. I feel I am a leader and that I could manage a business on my own.
These two personality traits may seem at odds. Entrepreneurs are risk-taking mavericks, making it up as they go along, right? Well, not always. Amanda found a way to perfectly marry her two sides, running a franchise.
Wrap it up.
You are your own boss, but you still have the backing of an entire company behind you.
Dennis Allard is another Navy vet turned entrepreneur. He was her inspiration.
I spent a long time in the Navy. I like organization. I like structure.
7 years ago in Virginia Beach, Virginia, he opened up one of about 400 PostNet franchises, specializing in copies, mailings, and business services. As a retired military officer, like Amanda, he was looking for some order and found it in the PostNet online manual describing how to run the company.
We're used to having systems in place and following those systems to the letter. And then when you bring someone in, you bring a new person in, that person is taught that system.
After visiting Dennis at his store, Amanda decided to sign up.
I looked at Dennis, straight in the face, and I said, put my hands on my hips, and I said, how do you start one of these? And he kind of laughed at me, and he gave me the little franchise pamphlet and stuff like that, and I said, somebody would make a killing at Ocean View because there's nothing here.
Steve Greenbaum is one of the co-founders of PostNet.
But you are reasonably capturing every email address that you can at the point of sale.
He finds that people like Amanda and Dennis have ideal backgrounds for becoming franchisees. People who are team players, but who also want to be their own boss.
Veterans have innate qualities and a respect for systems and following processes and are very driven people that understand that results at the end of the day are what matters.
We don't compete against each other, we work together. And that's something that was instilled in me in the military, is everybody is family.
Okay. This wheel rolls this out and cuts it. When you press this on the package, it just doesn't go anywhere. I've been using this for all of the packaging.
Is the cost way more on this tape, or?
Not really.
I use Dennis's store's equipment often. If Dennis ever called me to say I needed, just manual labor help, like stuffing envelopes or something like that, I would absolutely pack everybody up and go help his store as much as possible.
Of course, all this sharing of resources and information isn't free. Franchisees pay significant fees and royalties, which go right to the PostNet founders, or franchisors, Steve Greenbaum and Brian Spindle.
Initially, I think the idea of being a franchisee definitely made me feel like I would always be working for like Steve and Brian.
The investment level's around $200,000. That's all in with working capital. Breaks down of an initial franchise fee of around $30,000, a store development fee, which is just under $100,000 to build out the store.
I think you also need to accept the fact that you are always going to be giving money to your franchisor, so forever. And not all entrepreneurs want to do that, and that's why people don't franchise.
The amount I pay out in royalties is nothing compared to what I would spend in repairing my own mistakes and not knowing, what to do next.
The right reasons to become a franchisee is recognizing that there's strength in numbers, and that joining a large organization with a brain trust and resources creates a tremendous amount of opportunity.
Helpful advice and operations manuals can make a big difference, but they can only take you so far.
The wrong reason to join a franchise is to think that because you buy a franchise you're going to be successful automatically. It's not the case.
According to the SBA, buying a franchise alone is no better guarantee of success than starting up a business from scratch. And Greenbaum agrees.
At the end of the day, the execution is really at the store level or with the owner themselves and their ability.
For people like Amanda and Dennis, that's where the entrepreneurial drive kicks in to make the real difference between failure and success.
Oh, I wish I could have been making money on day one. But I know that takes time, and as much energy as I put into it is what I definitely see come out. On weeks that I don't get out of the store as much and do as much marketing, that's the weeks that I don't see my sales where I wanted them to be. So I know that it is a direct reflection of how hard I work, and I completely understand that.
Owning a franchise isn't for everyone, but it certainly seems like a good fit for people who have been in the military. Let's turn to this week's board of directors to talk about it. Stephen Caldera is the president and CEO of the International Franchise Association. Steve Strauss is the small business columnist at USA Today. And celebrity CMO Jeffrey Hazlett heads up the Hazlett Group, a marketing firm. Great to see all of you. Jeff is also book of The Mirror Test. And as long as we're talking books, Steve's got one coming out soon, so you guys should all look for it. Stephen, now to you. It's great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here with you.
So it was really interesting. When we were watching this piece, Jeff said, there are a lot of Navy people who have franchises. Do you think, as we mentioned in the piece, that there's something about wanting structure, wanting someone to a little bit tell you where to go, what to do, when to do it is helpful if you're interested in a franchise?
Well, clearly franchising isn't for everyone, but what we have learned is that due to the structure of the military, the training that they receive, and the passion and dedication that they bring to what they do each and every day, lends itself well to the franchise model. In fact, post 9/11, we revamped a program called VetFran, which now has over 400 participating companies in it, that has allowed 2,100 veterans to become franchisees across many of the segments that we represent. And those franchisors give a credit on the initial franchise fee to the prospective franchisee. In fact, we'll be reintroducing a bill in Congress this year called Help Our Veterans Own Franchise Act, which will propose to give a tax credit to the franchisor, as well as a tax to the franchisee for the balance that isn't covered on the initial credit to the franchisor. So
I mean, that makes a lot of sense then for military people to expand it to other people. What was interesting to me is that there's no better success of having a successful franchise than there is of starting your own company. You speak to a lot of franchisees. Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a balance of what you're going to do. Do you want to go with the tried and true, and there's people that are part of a bigger network that you can join in with, or do you want to just strike out on your own? And there's a lot more risk to that, as we all know, in starting a business. There's a lot of risk to it. The franchise helps to take away a lot of that. And what I thought was interesting with this young woman, she's going in with, no rose-colored glasses. She knew it was going to be tough, knew that she was going to lose money for a while and not make money, but she felt very good about it. But she had that network she could rely on, and that's really very, very special. You don't get that with a lot of independent businesses.
Right, but the network doesn't say you're going to be successful, though, because it's the same odds?
Right. You know, Jeff's point about risk is really well taken. The unemployment rate for veterans under 25 is 22%. Wow. A really high number. So if you're one of those vets and you want to, start a business, how do you do so without taking a huge risk? Well, one of the ideas is to start a franchise, because the idea with the franchise is somebody's already worked out the kinks in the system, right? They've made the mistakes, they figured out a system that works, and if you do their system, then you're going to get those results. That's very military kind of thinking. So that's the kind of thing that can make a difference. But what you have to do really is do your research on your franchisor, because not, as you will know, not all franchisors are created equal.
And she got a really good one. I mean, these guys have been at it for a long, long time. They've got a good track history and record, and you can see them standing side by side with those vets and their franchisees or non-vets working with them every day.
So, Stephen, how do you evaluate a good franchise to buy into?
Well, I think, I think it was just said, you need to do your due diligence and your research. And one of the points that I would add on that was just made is what's great about franchising is that you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself. And if you look at the demonstrable 40% growth of franchising over the past decade, and you think of the support you get from the franchisor in terms of marketing, advertising, operations, and leveraging the supply chain efficiencies, it really does give you a leg up as opposed to non-franchise businesses.
So I want to ask you guys here on the set then, what's a red flag? If you see something, you should keep away.
This idea of doing your research is so important. What you have to do is talk to current franchisees. If I was to give anyone any advice about looking for a franchise, the best thing you can do is talk to current franchisees, see what the franchisor is like to work with. Are they making money? How much money are you going to make? And also look at the FDD, the franchise disclosure document.
All right. Well, Stephen, we applaud all that you guys are doing to help vets, and thank you so much for coming on the program.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you very much.